Unprecedented, ludicrous, the most powerful diesel ever. There are various adjectives you can choose to describe Audi's V12 TDI. It's funny, as not only there still isn't another diesel V12 in a road car, but at the same time, none of the comparable engines ever received more power. We know it is special, but what motivated Audi to go full crazy and create such a monster? Like many other automakers, Audi is a part of various racing classes and takes place at many events. Starting in the 1990s, they were part of LMP racing with an 8-cylinder turbo FSI R8. Soon, the successful petrol-burning R8 was succeeded by an R10, which however turned out to be a diesel. The TDI technology was making some serious progress, people liked it, and they gave it a shot to push the TDI marketing further, introducing a 12-cylinder R10 TDI. Having about 50% heavier unit than its preceding sibling, the diesel needed all the volume they were allowed to have. The engine was a 90-degree all-aluminum V12, and its displacement was set at 5500 cc. It had twin turbos, twin water-to-air intercoolers, and a power of 650 horsepower. The optimum power range was between 3000 to 5000 rpm, and with a torque of 1100 Nm, it could replace a power stroke or Cummins at trailer pulling. The 200 plus kilogram heavy engine was near twice the weight of a 130 kilogram Jet 5.5 V10, and although the weight limit was raised from 900 to 925 kilograms, the 935 kilogram overweight Audi couldn't use ballast to balance the weight. Nevertheless, the new LMP1 Audi won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2006, 2007, and 2008. It was not the first nor second diesel car in Le Mans, but it certainly was the most successful. Audi continued with the technology, but as the V12 retired, Audi aimed to make sure nobody forgot their achievement. Eyeing the possibility to build a production equivalent of the V12, they knew it would be no sales success. That's why it was meant to be an exclusive thing for a single car only. The decision was made, and the Audi Q7 became the lucky one. Not the A8, nor the R8, although the initial concept of the engine appeared in a Audi R8 V12 TDI. The goal was to celebrate the achievements of the R10, but believe it or not, those two engines have nothing in common except the V12 TDI marketing name. Internally known as the CCGA, the production unit was instead a narrower, 60-degree compacted graphite iron block with aluminum heads. The engine's integrity was secured by a cast iron bedplate with 7 main bearings, with a 4-bolt setup housing a forged steel crankshaft. The fractured conrods and Mahler pistons were also forged. Heads were cast as a 3-piece design, housing twin cams and 48 valves in total. They are driven by an unusual chain design, but in a typical complex Audi fashion. There are 2 lower chains driving the 2 fuel pumps and an oil pump off the crankshaft, and then 2 separate chains for the exhaust camshafts, driven by an intermediate gear meshed with the crankshaft. A water pump was also gear-driven. All the chain drivetrain was at the back of the engine, and only the gear drive for the intake camshafts was in the front. At 684mm, the V12 was 24% longer than a V8 TDI and weighed a hefty 329 kilograms in a dry state. With 83 by 91.4mm bore and stroke dimensions, the cylinders were the same as the 3-liter TDI and actually resulted in a displacement of 5.9 liter, a bit larger than the race engine. The complexity of the engine was really enhanced by its auxiliary parts, thanks to the twin fuel pumps sending in fuel at a pressure of 2000 bar through 12 piezo injectors. Each bank with a separate ECU could work on its own under the main ECU controlling the whole unit. There were twin Garrett GTB2260VK variable geometry turbochargers providing a full boost of 2.6 bar. For cooling, the engine had 4 water radiators, twin intercoolers, a water-cooled alternator, and the oil was both water and air-cooled. The engine contained 23 liters of coolant and 16.5 liters of oil, so the wet weight might have been around 370 kilograms. The final output of the engine was 500 horsepower, 4000 rpm and 1000 Nm between 1750 to 3000 rpm. This figure, however, was not the maximum possible peak and has been electronically limited from the factory. There was a reworked ZF 6HP32X transmission, which would not hold reliably more than the rated torque of 1000 Nm. Thanks to the 60-degree V angle, it ran as smooth as it possibly could and was quiet too. The engine hardly gives away any 12-cylinder clues in terms of sound. To this date, there still isn't a 500 plus horsepower diesel in a passenger car. That's really interesting as the automotive world never stops and next-gen cars are always faster, more powerful and a bit better in a way than their predecessors. Similarly sized Cummins and Power Strokes are in the 450 horsepower territory, as is the next best current thing by Audi, the 4.0 TDI with an electric turbocharger making 435 horsepower and 900 Nm of torque. The car was meant to be sold in the USA too, but then the 2008 financial crisis struck the world. Sales were certainly very low, as only about 10 to 15 cars are on a sale currently on mobile.de. About 50 of the Q7 V12 TDI were shipped as rear-hand drive to the UK.